Welcome back to Bailiwick of Guernsey Shipwrecks. I'm JP Fallais and we're going to the bottom of the sea to have a look for some scallops. You ever been out on a boat and wondered what was below you? Well, that's what we're going to go and have a look at today. Plenty of marine life down here. I've always been curious where the people are that are watching my videos, so put in the comment where you're watching from so I can have a little look. Thanks. We're going down to about 25 to 28 metres today. And that isn't Mish that's overtaking me, that's another diver. That is Sally LeMate. Perfect opportunity to scare her here, but don't worry, I won't. I'm not that bad. These fish are almost like a Where's Wally. Always hidden away, the old combers. Maybe that's where the red and white striped Where's Wally came from. Looks like Sally's destroyed the viz, so I'm not quite sure we were going to go that way now. We'll probably have to swim into the tide and go around the other side of the reef. Nah, Mish, we're definitely not going that way. We'll go around the other way. Check out the pressure of the water. This is an old fishing buff, completely compressed in now. This is what happens when people say someone stole my pots. They don't, they just get pulled down. Someone's mask. Quite normal for people to lose masks, especially when you're on the side of the boat trying to get ready, or you roll in and it just pulls off the top of your head and then it's lost. This one looks brand new. Yeah, there's a bit of killworm growing on it, but that will clean off. If anyone recognises whose this is and they want it back, just let me know. across a really nice smooth soft sand, and we've come across one of these areas. Don't know why they just appear. It's like an old oyster bed. We don't have oysters on the island anymore. We're not native oysters that grow freely in the sea. And these are all the old shells. Normally find the scallops along the edge of these patches, or mostly anyway. And there is actually scallops inside. It's just quite awkward to find them. Probably noticed, but the visibility and the light levels today is absolutely incredible. We're at 30 metres and it's like we're at 10 metres. Quite a bit of tide pulling us to the left, so I'm trying to get behind this reef a little bit, give us a little bit of protection. Combers, they're weird fish. I see them everywhere. There's always one following us. It's obviously not the same one, because some have got parasites on and some are fat and some are skinny, but they must be territorial. They're kind of bass family, but there's never more than one. You never see shoals of them. It's always singular. Even the wrasse sort of shoal a little. Weird little fish. Only got 6 minutes left and then we're going to be going into deco. I don't want to be going into deco because it's our first dive. To be honest, I don't really like going into deco, to be honest, if you don't have to. So we're going to leave it 6 minutes and we're going to head up. We haven't got much good scalloping ground anyway. Now we're up in against some reefs. Got 160 bar left, but only 5 minutes. This is going to be 2 dives on 1 tank by the looks of it. Thousands and thousands of oyster shells. Not quite sure what that is. Looks like an elephant tusk, but obviously it isn't. It's maybe a rubber hose of a fishing boat of some sort. Guernsey did have an oyster fishery at one time, and there's the branch of the Chamber of Commerce wanted people to go out and fish. They used 3 cutters, one called John, mastered by Bugord, one called Mary and Elizabeth by Mr. Ozan, and one called the Eleanor by Mr. Marriott. And it's on the Great Bank, which is just behind me. Got a funny feeling they got a bit greedy and then caught them all. So I think the oyster fisheries just disappeared in the end. They were having to go further and further afield to get the same amount of numbers, because there's a lot of wear and tear on the vessels and a lot of hard work just for small returns. Also, the stone industry in Guernsey was paying a lot better dividends for your effort, so I think a lot of the blokes preferred to work on land in safety. Yeah, it's heavy work working with rocks, bits of granite, but I'm sure it paid a little bit better than oysters. You just hear some of the boats leaving Fermain Bay. Quite a distance away, but because water is so much more dense than air, you can hear it so much easier. In fact, you can feel it. You You can feel the vibration waves passing through your body sometimes, especially when some of the larger ferries like the Condor or some of the cruise liners come by. The Guernsey does still produce oysters. My friend Mark is still doing it, and he sends them away to different places like Venice and Canada and stuff. And they use them for clearing waterways. I know in Venice they're using them for trying to clean the water quality up there. All really cool, interesting stuff. Just as we're getting short on time, we seem to be getting some more scallops here. Wait for Mish to catch up a little bit. She's been looking at the reef. Plenty of cool things on the reef to look at. You can tell we're starting to get shallower now because these little bits of red weed are starting to grow. So we're up around the 22 metres now. 3 minutes left. All these shells are very brittle. If you can push down on them, they just kind of break. So eventually it will all turn to sand, I'm sure. And there is smaller fishes that do actually use these upturned shells as little homes. Gives you a little bit of protection. Remember, if there's nowhere to get protection, there's going to be no fish around. Because just when they're in the small fry stage, they need somewhere to hide away from the larger fish. Just big enough until they can fend for themselves, or swim away really quickly. I think I might have to start going up, because I'm going to be reeling up both bags. Not that we got a lot of scallops. I like to keep a little bit of extra air and also a little bit of extra time, just in case we run into any issues. I don't know what that is. Some sort of bar. Wrecking bar maybe someone's lost. Mish eyeing up the mask. Too big for her. It's a clear skirt as well. I tend to use a clear skirt because my eyesight isn't the best. I like as much light to go in my eyes as possible. You notice everyone else has got black dark skirts.
There she is, Sal. Yeah, she's a tit. Yeah, it's the tide. The tide, look, you can see all the swirliness.
Right, after drifting down and hitting the old yacht club boy, just give it a little kiss. Nothing too crazy. We've got back in the water a little bit further up, so this is a bit skanky, this area, albeit there's loads of life here, loads of fish here and stuff. This is where everyone tends to dump their shells, especially the picked crab. So there's some of the businesses that pick the crab and then put the crab shell back in the sea, which is a good thing to do because you don't want to be taking too much of that calcium out of the water. So it's actually really good that they're putting all this old shell back in. You do see some stuff eating it. Some small fish trying to scrape out the remainder of the flesh that's inside it. This is another area we're quite close to the harbour mouth, so there's loads of bits of fishing debris, old nets, old cables, crab pots, buffs, dive tanks, all you name it, we see here. I've even seen a full central heating system, including the immersion, all the pipe work and the radiators just in here. Plenty of scallops in here as well. Not quite sure why. They're probably benefiting from some of this calcium that's been left in the water by the crab shells. After all, all of them need to form this hard shell around them, so they're going to need the raw materials, and there's certainly enough of it around here. Well, we're drifting down towards a reef. We know we're drifting down towards Forine. Will we hit it? Will we not hit it? So I'm trying to keep in the 22-23 metre range, or maybe slightly deeper, so we make sure we do hit it. Where I want to be going is on the boulder fields. I don't really want to hit the main reef. I want to skim the main reef and then go onto the boulder fields. The boulder fields are really, really good. I'm looking for an octopus. I want to film an octopus. There's loads of talk about octopuses being on the island and decimating our crab population. Not sure if that's true, untrue, don't know, haven't got a clue, not an expert. But I do actually want to film an octopus. I do remember when I was younger having a conversation with my dad's dad, my pop, and he used to tell me that they never used to call it octopus when they were young in Guernsey. They were called pieuvre, which I believe is Guernsey French, or maybe even Old French for octopus. He did tell me when he was young there was loads around, and then they freeze in the 1960s ended up killing all of them off. But we seem to be going around in another one of the cycles where we're now looking at octopus, and there's loads of octopuses being found and caught in crab pots, which are causing a little bit of a pain for a lot of the fishermen, because all their high value fish, like lobsters, they are finding they're going in each pot, because they are so brainy, they're going in the pot and they're killing them, sucking out the goodness, and then heading to the next pot. Octopus is sentiment, and they kind of are very brainy. They know what they're doing, and they're very good at getting out of little tight situations. So they can get in the crab pot and find protection from the other stuff that eat them. Mainly congers. Congers will have a go at an octopus, and the same as risso dolphins will eat them as well. What I found from my research in the 1890s is there was a boom of octopus, which people didn't like, especially fishermen. Then there was a boom of dolphins or porpoise, and then also the conger as well. So recently there's been no congers around. They've all been not all caught, but the numbers are a lot lower. Now they've got another source of food, like the octopus. Fingers crossed we start seeing these congers again. I haven't seen a conger for a long time, and we never normally see conger unless they're on either a reef where there's protection or a shipwreck. Shipwreck's an ideal place to go and look for them. We love going to feed them. We'll do a video about that soon. We'll do a night dive and go down and feed the conger so you can see it. These are a form of protection as well. So you either get the squid eggs in here or cuttlefish eggs. And now we're seeing these old pots being homes. There's a Where's Wally there. Look, did you see him? Coma hidden right behind the seaweed. Yeah, these are now becoming homes for octopus. None in that one today. So we'll carry on. Fingers crossed we're going to hit this reef. That's when we start to see the other types of life. Out on the sand, great for scallops, you know, and same as cuttlefish. But we need to be in between the reefs to have a look at the real life. I like the difference in the on the reefs. Yeah, we're almost there. Some wrasse showing up now, and some more coma. Another one hidden. This is exactly where I wanted to be. The reefs are climbing like massive cathedrals. This is where we're going to see loads of crayfish, loads of different types of fish, to be honest. We're looking in every little hole to see if we see one of these piever. As we're now on the southern side, this is where they got the first of the yacht club boys. I can see the chain going up, so we're not going to be able to go around the back of this reef. It's weird that that's actually touching the reef, because normally it doesn't. Normally it's quite a way away from... Oh, it's just tangled. Yeah, thought as much. I would go and untangle it, but Don't feel like getting tangled up in that today, so we'll carry on. We'll just swim, we'll just have to stay in the deep. How long does something like that take to grow? Pretty cool. Ross coral. Still a good chance of a scallop or two in this sand. Can't really see any at the moment. It's very hard ground now. This is now the start of the cables. Remember we see them trawl cables? This is where it heads up to the reef. It doesn't connect to anything, it just kind of teeters out into the reef. But this is what we're going to be following now. These huge metal cables. There's a motorbike spring there. It looks like a motorbike spring of some suspension of some sort. Again, because I got my reel up to the surface, we need to be quite careful because I could quite easily swim underneath one of these. Not a massive issue though because there's hardly any tide, but you don't really want to be swimming under these. And these do fly between reefs, so they will be above my head and I might not see them. There's also loads of lost crab pots around here and the rope seems to trail across, just like this, look. And the reel's the surface, wouldn't want to be going underneath that. I'll have to swim back and try and untangle it. This is what I see, is a wrasse hold. I'm sure I made that up myself, the name wrasse hold. I'm sure there's either could be a conger under this big one, or any of these big ones to be honest. Stick our head under and have a little look. Yeah, there's a conger, not massive, probably only 20 pounds. Big enough to take a chunk out your face, so we won't mess around with him. Nah, you'd have to really be taunting it for it to bite you. They are soft. Right, now we got rope either side of us now, so we're going to have to be careful. Did you see the one to my left? So I'm just letting Mish know. I'm going to reel some of my line in just so I've got the least amount of slack out as possible. Just see it floating mid-water over there. See it? Bit of seaweed stuck to it. Have to keep an eye on that. In fact, I think we could probably swap over here now and go the other side of these cables in a minute. Down to 4 minutes already. That's the problem with staying in close to 30 metres of water the whole time. You don't have much time at all. One of the dive tanks I was mentioning there, just to the bottom. It's been there so long it's actually encrusted in sea life now. Yep, I think we're going to swap over the side of this cable now and go a little bit shallower. We'll have to start thinking about making our way up the reef, so we've got to pick our exit point carefully. Somewhere where we can come up the side of the reef and have a little look. Whilst we're doing our safety stuff hopefully, but I don't think any are going to be that shallow. Plenty of these small pout. If we had more time I'd follow them, see where they want to take me. They normally take you off to some pretty cool spaces where there's normally loads of other fish. a few crayfish here. And surprise, surprise, another coma. Only little babies. Where there's two, there's normally more. And here's another one. This one's a lot bigger. Quite nice to see him next to a sea cucumber. It's a nice little alcove. Won't be long before we silt it up though. Always trying to take some slack out my line. Problem is the tide is trying to pull me. And as I found out a few times before, the slack is really bad. Because it normally goes up and around one of your valves. You've got to take your kit off under the water to try and disconnect it. So we don't want that. Can't believe it, all these holes and I'm not seeing octopus. Are they just that well camouflaged I can't see them? Probably. There's another decent cray. And a huge wrasse. The size of that. I could just spend a whole dive looking around these big boulders. We will eventually run out of air and run out of time. And the time has come. So we're going to have to return back to the surface. Quite pitiful the amount we got. We might just about make 20. We ended up there on the end of 4-eye, that was awesome. We ended up around the back of this part here, this 4-eye, and it's all massive boulders. And you notice I couldn't get past that chain. The chain was in the way, so we couldn't swim into the shallow, so we had to stay in the deep. But it was well worth it, because we've seen the big boulders. Just waiting for Matt to come out now. And we got loads of scallops there for Richard. Just waiting for Matt. Quite enjoyed that. Loads of crayfish as well. Always good to see crayfish. We've probably seen 3 or 4 in the same area. I didn't record it, but we'd come up the side of the reef where all the seaweed was. You see it all like a woman's hair in the wind. And we've seen loads of little crayfish all up the side of the reef there as well. Quite shallow actually, only about 8-10 metres. Happy birthday, Richard. Richard's 75th birthday today. Eating cake without Richard.
We're eating cake for Richard.
Oh, we're eating it for him, yeah. Come on, Matt. Must almost be there. The official lowering of the flag has been done. That looks like a pretty old boat.